Hey guys, Ivy here, and I want to talk to you guys about something that shows up in every single relationship you've ever had that you probably didn't even know was showing up in every single relationship you've ever had. And that is the demand withdrawal pattern. And the demand withdrawal pattern comes out of the world of EFT, which is emotionally focused therapy, often used in couples counseling, which in and of itself is derived from attachment work. And so what I want to tell you is really, again, about attachment theory. And this demand withdrawal cycle, I think, is really important to know because we do all participate in this and sometimes don't even realize what we're doing. And it's just helpful to have kind of a framework for understanding why you're doing what you're doing. So here's how it works. In every relationship, you have a demand person and you have a withdrawal person. And I think there's different words that people have used over the years to describe these two people, but the concepts are basically the same. So the demand person always tends to be motivated by the perception of abandonment or neglect. It's really important to point out this is the perception of these things that we're talking about. This isn't necessarily it could be that they really are being abandoned, but it's perception. The withdrawal person almost always motivated by the perception of threat. In a relationship, you have a demand and you have a withdrawal because it is the most stable kind of relationship that there is. If you have a demand person and another demand person, it's like fireworks. There tends to be a lot of passion up front, and then the relationship fizzles. It's just not sustainable. And two withdrawers seldom make a relationship because no one's really fully showing up for the relationship in the first place. So we always have a demand person and a withdrawal person. If you follow the world of attachment, most of the time, the demand people, again, who are motivated by this perception of neglect or abandonment, tend to be more in line with that anxious, ambivalent attachment style. The withdrawal people tend to be avoidance, which kind of makes sense because they're avoiding outright conflict and tension in a relationship. So all of us have, again, preferences towards one of these positions or the other. And these are things that we have inherited, have been conditioned by, programmed by in our family of origins. And so it's not like you picked this, you didn't pick this. It happens on a very subconscious level, and it's kind of just the stance that we do in relationships. So here's how this works. You have a demand person, again, motivated by this perceived threat of abandonment. And when that happens, and again, this is on a very subconscious level, what they tend to do in relationships is they get real demandy, they get real graspy, and or as I like to say for myself, because I'm a demand person, pouncy. You want to pounce. And so something is wrong in the relationship and you feel like your number one go-to skill is, I'm going to tell my partner all about what is wrong in this relationship so that my partner can fix it so that I don't have to feel abandoned or neglected anymore. Again, we do this on a subconscious level. We rarely consciously say to our partners, oh, this is triggering my abandonment issues. I need help and reassurance. That would be a great thing. And I think once you figure out which type you are, we can talk about some strategies and skills for navigating this a little bit better. So what happens is the demand person gets really loud and really demanding. The withdrawal person, who again is motivated by this perception of threats, experiences all of the demand as threats. And the really beautiful thing that people who do this withdrawal thing is they say to themselves sort of more or less, this feels really uncomfortable. There's too much intensity in this relationship. I need to regulate. I need to regulate my partner. I know how to do that. I'm just going to take some space. I'm going to remove myself and go over here. Beautiful strategy unless you are partnered with someone who is, again, motivated by the perception of abandonment, because the demand person then unfortunately perceives this withdrawal as, oh my gosh, I was right the whole time. My partner doesn't love me. They're abandoning me. I'm going to get neglected. My needs aren't going to get met. Again, on a subconscious level. And so what happens is the demand person kind of ups the ante a little bit. They get louder. They get bigger, they get more demanding. And the withdrawal person's like, what the heck just happened here? I was trying to regulate all this tension in this relationship, and I was trying to regulate all the conflict here, and I took some space and it somehow made things worse. Oh my gosh, no matter what I do, it's not going to be right. I am failing at this. And wow, that feels really threatening. Like this is getting louder and louder and louder. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some more space. And so the withdraw person leaves the relationship even more. Again, not because they want to abandon their demand partner, but because they want to regulate all of the tension and conflict that's in the relationship. They step out again, take more space, and maybe they get more quiet, maybe they get more withdrawn, and then the demand person, again, gets all this abandonment stuff triggered. Oh my gosh, I was right, my partner doesn't love me. Why don't they ever show up for me? Why aren't they here? Oh my gosh, nobody loves me. And so they get bigger and bigger and more demanding, and then the withdraw person withdraws even more, and then it just becomes this dance where what started out as maybe like a really small threat has now created this like giant divide in relationship. And then eventually over time, what happens is the demand person gets kind of burnt out, they get kind of overwhelmed, they sort of give up, and then they withdraw. And then that's kind of the end of the relationship. So if you are a person who feels like you might be motivated by the threat of neglect or abandonment, it is incredibly important that you figure that out for yourself so that when something comes up in the relationship, you can name that. You can just say to your partner who wants to withdraw, oh my gosh, all of my history, all of my stuff's been kicked up right now. I don't know what's going on. I need help regulating. Can you help me? And give them a clear path, because the withdrawal person really just wants to stabilize the relationship. They don't want there to be threat. They don't want there to be tension. But sometimes this person is so overwhelming and so loud that they're like, I can't do it. I don't know how to do this, right? And then they shrink. They want to be invisible. They want to leave because it just doesn't even feel like they have anything to offer their person. So it's also incredibly important that if you are a withdrawal person and you feel like your demand partner is getting really demanding, to make sure you can clearly say to them, wow, I want to show up for you. I want to be with you. I want to help you. I want to do what is right in this relationship. But this is so overwhelming to me that I feel like I'm going to fail. I feel like I'm not capable. I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like no matter what I do, it's not going to help. And so I just do this thing where I try and do nothing at all because I'm just like sort of hoping that it's going to be okay. And sometimes I think it's really important for the demand person to hear that from their partner, right? Because it's a clue that, oh, my partner's not actually abandoning me. This is my old stuff. My partner actually wants to stay here and help me, but I am being kind of overwhelming right now. And maybe I need to figure out some strategies for regulation and for coping with this. So there's 800,000 other things we could probably say about this demand withdrawal patterning, and certainly a good reason why, if you are in a relationship and your relationship is struggling and this pattern is happening, and I'm sure that it is, that you go and find someone that you guys can both talk to, that you both like. Huge fan of this EFT because this is kind of the cradle that we view relationships from. And so that's the demand withdrawal cycle. I'm sure all of you guys are realizing where your role is in this. Again, we all have a role in this. There's no right or wrong. But do please remember that it's your old stuff that's getting kicked up. If it's not your old stuff that's getting kicked up and the relationship is abusive or really highly neglectful in some way, obviously set some boundaries, figure out a strategy for leaving. But most of the time, it's little stuff that is kicking these things up into gear in the first place. So, okay, that's the demand withdrawal cycle, and hope everybody had a good week.